Good evening, everybody. I'm James from Copper in the Clouds. We are at our distillery here in Hertfordshire, in Dowsix Farms. We're kind of near Ware. This is really just a quick introduction. We're going to go and do our gin tasting in a little bit. I just really wanted to show you the farm in the daylight and around the distillery quickly. We've kind of boxes everywhere and things. We're kind of having a bit of a crazy few weeks at the moment. We've currently switched our normal gin production over to hand sanitizer to adjust the local demand. So basically, there's lots of distilleries have taken up the opportunity to essentially try and pick up some of the slack that exists within the hand sanitizer market at the moment, just because there isn't any. All the ingredients are very difficult to get. Distilleries are in a kind of unique situation whereby we've generally got quite a lot of ethanol on hand, that being the main ingredient for both hand sanitizer and gin. And then also we've got all the equipment and sort of expertise necessary for blending high alcohol liquids. So actually turning our hand to hand sanitizer has been pretty easy. We've been sending it all over the place. It's been gone to the police, the NHS, charities, they've gone to building sites, construction companies. Hand sanitizer has been interesting the last few weeks. But just to give you a quick look around the distillery, this is our main still. I don't think I can switch the camera around. I'm in a video already, but so this is a 200 litre copper pot still. Very traditional, old school kind of way of distilling. You basically just load up the still with your botanicals, your gin, and your botanicals, your alcohol, your water, and then you're kind of boiling it, catching the steam, and that steam, once it's condensed, is going to become your gin. So before we begin, again, I'm going to go upstairs and we'll sort of start the tasting in a little bit. But just for the moment, I'd recommend kind of pouring yourself a drink. We're going to start the gin tasting going from driest to the least dry. So the same way you'd have a meal, you'd start with your sort of savoury starters and then finish with your sweet desserts. We're going to do exactly that. So I'd recommend pouring yourself the Hertfordshire Dry Gin, which is going to be the first gin we're going to try, and is our flagship gin. And then basically have a taste, have a sip, pour yourself a gin and tonic, and hopefully when this video then goes into the next part, which is where I'll be sat down and we'll be doing a kind of more of a kind of normal tasting, you'll have a drink in front of you and be ready to go. Again, I'm just going to show you around the farm quickly while it's lovely and sunny, because it's a beautiful place to be this time of year. In the winter, it kind of gets a little bit dark and muddy, but right now it's looking pretty good. So, get your drink poured and I'll see you in a sec. Hi guys, so we're going to do the first gin of the evening. I've taken the liberty, I'm going to join you. I've got the first gin here poured out, and I'm going to make myself a gin and tonic. So I'm going to use plain Fever-Tree. I know people get very, very fussy about tonic, but I think as long as you've got a plain tonic for this one, rather than a flavoured one, doesn't really matter which one it is. You know, take your favourite tonic. We're not going to sort of force a tonic on you and say you have to drink it with this one. I've gone with garnish of lemon and pink peppercorns, which are two of the botanicals in the drink. So if you've got either of those handy and you want to join me in having a perfect serve gin and tonic, feel free. So, right. So this is, I know some of you, we actually ran out of labels for the Hertfordshire Dry for the small bottle. So some of you will have got a very boring looking white label that just says Hertfordshire Dry Gin on it, 43%. But this is our normal, the normal bottle for it. So it's got the Hertfordshire Stag from the county emblem. And he's kind of in a bar wearing a kind of smoking jacket thing. I'll talk to you about the artwork later. The guy who does the artwork's kind of fantastic, but equally just his mind works in strange ways. So we've got the Hertfordshire Stag in a kind of smoking jacket in a cocktail bar, and you've kind of got like a little bit of inception going on, because you've also got a mini Hertfordshire Dry gin bottle there with the Stag on again, and I'm sure if you zoomed in close enough, it's got another bottle on that as well. So the Hertfordshire Dry Gin is our flagship gin. It's the first one we released from the distillery when we opened it in 2018. So the distillery is super new. We got the keys to the place in June 2018. Didn't really, took a while. We had to, it was a tractor workshop before it was a distillery. So we had to completely gut the place basically, drill the floor out, put a new floor in, do a lot of work really just to turn it into a sort of food safe environment versus it being a tractor workshop. There was the bricks were like covered in grease. There was grease everywhere, so it needed a real deep clean before we got going. But now it's a very, very nice place to be. So yeah, so we got the keys 2018 in June. Started churning gin out in September, and this was our inaugural gin release. So the idea of this really was that it was, it's called Hertfordshire Dry Gin. You couldn't call it Hertfordshire Dry Gin without having some local botanicals in there. So we have, I don't know if any of you know Much Haddon Well. That's closer to us here than it is to most of you, assuming you're out by Royston or kind of that way. So Much Haddon, there's a place called Hopley's that there's a small cafe there, and it's basically just got these very nice grounds. A lady called Jane has some greenhouses at the top, and she has a business that sells kind of herbs and herbs really. This time of year, spring, is obviously her busy period, and it's also when we get our botanicals from her. So we haven't actually had any yet for the year, just because they come a little bit later. We get lemon verbena, which is in this, and lemon balm off of Jane. So they're two ingredients that are grown very close to here. And she also does this angelica root, which most people just use a dried angelica root. We cultivate the angelica root that Jane sent to us, and we dry it out here in our dehydrator. So we have complete control over those three ingredients. Most ingredients you have to get a little further afield. So the juniper, our juniper we use is Italian. So most juniper in the UK comes from Italy or Macedonia. There's very little grown here. Italian juniper being generally slightly sweeter than Macedonian. Also, we've got pink peppercorn, which is why it's in the garnish. You've got black cardamom, which is the kind of spice element to it. So it's black cardamom is very different even to green cardamom. So it's kind of like it's a smoked cardamom pod. So if you ever get an opportunity to try some, I should have one really. I'll get one, not now, but I'll have it to show you later what a green black cardamom pod looks like. And actually they've got these little beads inside, and when you open the beads, you've almost got like a menthol eucalyptus flavour. So it's a very unique botanical, and it goes in this very well. So have a little try. This is probably the driest gin you're going to have. So I guess, I don't know if any did try it on its own without tonic, but things generally get a lot more palatable to drink on their own as there's a bit of sugar in there. So this being the driest, if you tried it on its own, you might have kind of had a bit of a moment, but it should get easier from now on. Cheers.